When we look at players who consistently threw 99 miles an hour or faster this last season, there were 6 in 2024 that hit that mark in a minimum of 50 innings. There are over 37 who hit over 97 miles an hour in the same sample size. But I want to talk today about a rookie that came up on the Detroit Tigers team in 2006 who was one of, if not the hardest thrower in the league that year. No, this isn't about Justin Verlander. It's about someone who was unstoppable during the season, though. The only thing that could stop him or slow him down was the thing or story that ended his exceptional rookie year: Guitar Hero. My friends, this is the story of an unsung flamethrower, Joel Zumaya, a man who may better be known as the pitcher who was hurt from playing Guitar Hero. Joel was born November 9th, 1984 in Chula Vista, California. There, he attended the local high school, Bonita Vista, where he excelled as a pitcher. He was well known for being a fastball-dominant pitcher who did lack some control of his off-speed selection. But man, that fastball, it was something special. And we're talking about a high 90s mile-an-hour fastball from a 17-year-old. And well, because of that, he would go on to be drafted out of high school in 2002 to the Detroit Tigers in the 11th round and the 320th overall selection. In the minors, Joel was a starting pitcher, which is something we see today as a no-brainer. But back in the 2000s, especially in the early 2000s, that was not always the case. But boy, was he dominant in his first 2 seasons in the minors, posting a 2.53 ERA, over 120 innings, while going 9-6 in just 27 starts. He was also posting a near 12 K per 9 with a whip of 1.11. And on top of that, he only gave up just 5 home runs in those 2 seasons. Clearly, Joel's ability to throw a high 90s heat allowed him to flourish at the lower levels of the minor leagues. In 2004, he would skip high A and go straight to double A, and well, he didn't fare nearly as well and really hit the wall that you see today skill level wise with some players. And he would go on to be demoted back to high A ball, and it looked like maybe the 19-year-old Joel was just a little bit of a long ways away from actually making it to the show. But he would prove the organization that maybe, just maybe, they actually had a gem in the making. And 2005 was a great year for Joel, as he started the year off once again in AA before being called up to AAA for his last 8 starts. On the season between the 2 leagues, he went 9-5 with a 2.74 ERA, a near 12 K per 9, a whip of a 1.17 in 151 innings. Now, the reason why I covered all of his minor league career is because in 2006, he would make the opening day roster as a 21-year-old and also be listed as the 35th best prospect according to Baseball America. In 2006, he would join the likes of 23-year-old starters in Justin Verlander, Zach Miner, and Jeremy Bonderman. And for the vets of the staff there was Nate Robertson. And then there's the media darling and Olympic camera thrower, Kenny Rogers. If you don't know, YouTube it, as it is an iconic clip from the mid-2000s. While Joel was a steady starter in the minors, he would transition to middle relief as a rookie, and there were some solid relievers there when he joined the pen, with the likes of a 29-year-old Jason Grilli, a 38-year-old Todd Jones, 34-year-old Jamie Walker, and lastly, the immortal archer, one Fernando Rodney. During his rookie season, he would become a fan favorite because of his velocity on his pitches and just how intense he was on the mound. Joel did top out his fastball at 104.8 miles an hour, which did go on to set the fastest pitch in MLB history at the time in Oakland, until Aroldis Chapman broke this 4 years later. He was also the most dominant reliever over the course of the season, and he was able to hold opposing batters to just a batting average of .176. Yes, .176 was his batting average that he gave up to opposing batters. And with runners in scoring position, it was an absurd 143. As far as OBP though, he held batters to a .287 for an OBP while only allowing .270 for slugging. He was the light in the bullpen in which the Tigers made their resurgence into a contender run. More on that in a second, though. For the season, Zumaya put up some of the best numbers on a season for a regular veteran, but as a rookie, he really set a high bar. Over 62 games and 83 innings, he would go on to post a 1.94 ERA with a record of 6-3 with a single save. He had an ERA plus of 2.33. That is more than double the average reliever in the majors. He also added a K per 9 of 10.5 and a whip of 1.176. Unfortunately, though, he didn't even crack the top 7 in Rookie of the Year voting and wasn't even the best rookie reliever that year, as that went to Jonathan Papelbon, who finished second in Rookie of the Year voting. I'll have a picture of this insane rookie class that was just happened to be led by one Justin Verlander, his teammate, who won the award that season. To give some context at just how big of a resurgence this Tiger team was, who almost 3 years ago broke and set the record for the most losses all time with 119. Don't worry, the White Sox are able to accomplish that this last year in 2024 with the ability to manage to lose 121 games. But on 2006 season, they managed to finish the year 95-67 and finish second to the Twins, who would end up clinching the wild card. In said divisional series against the Yankees that was loaded with talent, he pitched 2 games where he faced 6 batters, struck out 3, and got the other 3 out. And the Tigers would go on to beat the Yankees 3-1 in the divisional series to advance to the ALCS to face the Oakland Athletics. And now here's kind of where we get back to the beginning of the story and where it gets controversial, as this would kind of be seen in hindsight as the end of Joel's career. Well, the beginning of the end, that is. Joel allegedly hurt his wrist and forearm playing what at the time was one of the biggest games in the world, Guitar Hero. This according to an MSNBC article. But on top of that, after the season, then GM Dave Dombrowski went on a radio show on WXYT and confirmed that Joel had been playing the game for hours at a time, and it was so pronounced that it perplexed the medical staff as to how he got the injury, as it mostly is associated with players or people who play the guitar. However, during the 13-minute interview, they also talked about how his pitching style, his motion, and his grip were also concerns and cause to the injury. That said, he would only go on to pitch 1 game and go 1 inning and give up 1 run with 0 strikeouts in the ALCS. The Tigers were able to advance onto the World Series to face the Cardinals, where they would lose in 5, and Joel pitched 3 games in that series, losing Game 4, but he was able to strike out 3 batters in 3 innings. Now, to kind of add some humor to all this, Guitar Hero team would go on to post in the following in the second game, quote, "No pitchers were harmed in the making of this game. Except one, Joel Zumaya. He had it coming." In 2016, Joel denied all claims that this was the cause of the injury, even though there is evidence, as stated before, but I will give him some benefit of the doubt that maybe it contributed to it, but was not the cause. As said before, you combine that with how he gripped the ball, it may have just been the end result of that process. 2007 would be rough, as he would go on and off the IL a few times during the season, and at first being a wrist and forearm concerns, and then later a shoulder injury later in the season. He also posted a disappointing season stat-wise, posting a 4.2 ERA in 34 innings while going 2-3 with a singular save. His K per 9 also dropped from 10.5 to 7.2. Things didn't get better during the offseason, as he would go on to separate his pitching shoulder while helping his father move boxes in their attic, and would start the year on the IL in 2008. After a month-plus stint on the IL, Joel would make 6 rehab appearances in the minors before being called back up in late June. While the season went better, he finished 2008 with an ERA of 3.47, with an 0-2 record over 23 innings and an ERA plus of 130. The strikeouts were also kind of coming back, now at a 8.5 per 9, but he still wasn't back to his rookie success. And then in 2009, it would be another year on and off the IL, and Joel would need surgery as he could barely move his arm. But He did make 29 appearances over 31 innings with a K per 9 of 8.7, and his record was 3-3 with a 4.94 ERA, and this was probably the worst career of, well, his very short career. Speaking of short career, we're now at the final season of this now 25-year-old. Yeah, that's right, Joel never pitched again in the majors after June 28th, 2010, where in the 8th inning, he would fracture his elbow and it'd end his season against the Minnesota Twins. And that was disappointing, as he was on his way to his second best season to date, with the currently posting a 2-1 record with a 2.58 ERA over 38 innings. He also had an ERA plus of 164 and the best whip of his career with a 1.122. Joel would go on to have an exploratory surgery done on his throwing elbow by one Dr. James Andrews, and that would end up causing him to miss the whole year and he'd enter free agency, where there he would sign with the Twins in 2012. But there he only lasted over a month, as he tore his UCL just 13 pitches into a live BP session early in spring training, and would go on to be released March 3rd. Joel would go on to retire in 2014 at the age of 29, not having pitched a single game in 3 years. When we compare Joel's first season versus his last 4, he pitched in 47 less games and 43 less innings. But he had a 1.84 less ERA in his rookie season, as well as he had 2.4 more Ks per 9. Joel had 97 strikeouts alone in 2006. From 2007 to 2010, he only had 113. This is just really sad to see what can happen to someone like this with the talent that he had. And at the time, he was literally a comet. Something that happens infrequently, but catches all of our attention. Hell, the Comet would have been a great nickname on top of his actual nickname, Zoom, as the flameout happened just as quick as they came. He would eventually be replaced by Aroldis Chapman, aka the Cuban Missile, as the face of hard throwers for the next decade. Now, can I speculate what Joel's career would have looked like? Not really, but when he was on, he was on. I mean, in 2009 and 2010, with the introduction of Pitch FX, he was still hitting 99 on the gun quite frequently. So maybe he could have been a guy who had things come back together. He could have been a setup man or maybe a closer. Do I think video games or Guitar Hero really ruined his career? No, I think it may have accelerated some aspects of things, but he was someone with an aggressive style and an aggressive grip when throwing the ball. He was a really overpowering pitcher with a lot of talent, and I think the Tigers making him a reliever maybe and probably made his career that more exciting. I also think playing in the big moments in the postseason added to his story, both good and bad, as we had covered. Today, Joel is still involved in baseball, both as a youth coach and someone who makes appearances and comments from time to time on Tigers broadcasts, both for and on the organization. According to his Instagram, at JZoom84, he is now an avid fisherman where he shares a lot of his experiences and catches out on the water. I would like to thank anyone who has made it this far and to listen to me talk about my era of baseball, and especially about an athlete that was so successful for such a short period of time as Joel, and I really do appreciate that. And on that note, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.